Standing for our Pledge of Allegiance, so if you would please rise and join us for the moment of silence. Thank you. We salute the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. We will get started tonight. Our first item is a matter that is scheduled for a public hearing. This hearing will be held to consider a rezoning request submitted by Robert Triplett for property located at 413 Vance Street Northwest. That's North Carolina PIN number 274-968-7204, to be rezoned from I-1, that's light industrial, to R9, that's mixed density residential, based on the following consistency statement. The proposed zoning map amendment is consistent with the adopted comprehensive plan because it facilitates, it's hard to get that out.
Words together.
I got it all together. A residential conversion on an existing lot, consistent with the policy concepts found in the plan. The proposed amendment is reasonable and in the public interest because it will allow an active residential use in a high vacancy neighborhood. Also note, please, the owner is in the process of converting a previously industrial building to a residence. A rezoning to a residential zone is required for the property to be used primarily as a residence. I will now open the public hearing, and first we will ask our planning director, Jenny Wheelock, to address the council.
Good evening. In your packets, you have the staff report that has some photographs of the work that's already been done on that existing building. This is a property that was the last industrial property, most likely developed when it was oriented towards the industry along the rail there. Obviously, we don't have that freight rail going anymore, turning into a greenway. The access is not really great for an industrial property. So because there's R9 zoning adjacent, staff is supportive and planning board recommended approval of this rezoning. It's a little atypical to rezone a warehouse type of building to residential, but the applicant is in the process of converting it, and it was through that process of pulling permits and going through building inspections that it was caught that this change of use actually isn't allowed in I-1. So the project's been on hold for a couple of months now, actually. So the decision tonight would then, if you approve the rezoning, would allow them to finish their permitting process. They'll have to pull permits to convert the building to residential use. So they'll have to meet, fire code and things like that for when you're going to be sleeping there. The applicant's in the audience if you had any questions, and I'm available as well to answer questions.
Okay. Any questions for Jenny while she is here concerning this project and the rezoning application?
Does this property face an internal street behind another, or?
Yeah, it
Okay.
does. It's kind of confusing. Technically, the public frontage that this property has is on Vance Street.
Okay.
But
But that's the
that's
back of the
really the
building.
back of the building, and you can't really access it from that
Right.
side. So if you think
I just want to
about.
make sure my perspective was correct.
Right, so there's a little private road that runs
Right.
through kind of the middle of the block there
Yes.
past the daycare.
What was in it before? Do you remember?
That would
You
be a
don't-
question for the building owner who's in the audience. Robert Triplett is.
It was before City Flyer and Feed years ago, and then Ben bought the property, bought all the buildings right there, Ben Griffin,
Yes,
and I bought it off him.
okay. That's
Pretty
what I
rough
thought. It
building.
probably had
I-
something to
I
do with
just-
City Flower and Feed in
Yeah,
there.
Yeah.
it was one of the buildings behind. the
Behind
one that
City
faced-
Flower, yeah.
That faced, the other one's faced Willow Street, and it's in the back of those.
Right. Okay.
Back in the day, it was an old broom factory where they manufactured brooms.
Ristos aren't that
You-
old.
you-
We appreciate that.
We knew you'd remember that.
How long did it take you to lay the brick on that one right there?
Back in the way day, huh?
Okay, any other questions of Jenny?
Is this a single dwelling, or is it multiple units?
Right now, from my understanding, and the applicant can clarify this, but it's just one unit. And I think actually it's been used as a residence for maybe a year or two, without anyone kind of realizing that the zoning and that building code changes have to be upgraded. So it was an improvement that kind of triggered all this.
Sure.
But the zoning it would be R9. So in the future, looking at the square footage of the space, it would be very possible to convert it into multiple units. And from kind of a big picture policy standpoint, I actually think that is the ideal use of this property, would be for more than one unit. That the R9 would allow, I couldn't tell you off the top of my head, but several units by right, and then through a conditional use permit, potentially a little bit more.
Okay.
There's a structure in front of it. Would that apply to this same structure, the rezoning for this one?
By in front
Property?
of it, do you mean to the south of it, the daycare property? The way we noticed and advertised this request was only for the one property, for 413 Vance Street. The daycare property is actually still zoned light industrial. It can operate in either zone. I think in R9, probably it would need a conditional use permit. So I don't think there's any real motivation to change their zoning. But everything to the north is already R9, so it's not a spot zone. It just moves that zoning line down, one more property. So now the transition between residential and industrial is to the south of this property.
Okay, any other questions? All right, we are in the public hearing part. If there's anyone else who would like to address the council concerning this potential rezoning request as submitted for 413 Vance, this is the time to address the council on that. Okay, seeing no one, then I will close the public hearing and turn it over to City Council for consideration and/or motions concerning this request.
Make a motion, we approve.
We have a motion from Councilmember Willis to approve the rezoning request as submitted by Mr. Triplett for 413 Vance Street Northwest from I-1 to R9. Any other discussion?
Just need to include the consistency statement.
And the consistency statement is included in that motion. Is that
Yes, yes.
okay? All right. Anything, Mr. Attorney, that we need to?
Wake up.
I actually was paying attention. Are you going to ask me this every time from now on?
No, I'm not.
Go in peace.
He about said here.
It's both legal and ethical.
Thank you. Good answer. Okay, we have the motion before us. No other discussion. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Thank you. That carries unanimously. Thank you, sir. Good luck to you with it.
Say, Bob.
Okay, that's all we have for our public hearings this evening, so we'll move on to our consent agenda items, which consist of several here. Minutes from our Committee of the Whole meeting of Tuesday, November 26, 2019. We have minutes from the City Council meeting of Tuesday, December 3rd, 2019. We have closed session minutes from the City Council meeting of Tuesday, November 12th, 2019, and these were as submitted and as reviewed by the city council, city manager, and city attorney. If you have not reviewed those, please do so and get those back to, with your approval to the city clerk before the end of tonight's meeting, if you haven't had a chance. I think everyone should have had a chance to review those on that. Item D is the capital project budget ordinance for Fire Station Number 3. This is for the capital project budget ordinance in the amount of $1,575,615 to close out the capital project for Fire Station Number 3. Item E is a capital project budget ordinance for the Crossroads Sewer Project. This would be for that project in the amount of $2,830,500 to authorize activities for the Crossroads Sewer Project, which involves the replacement and upsizing of approximately 3,800 linear feet of existing 12-inch diameter gravity sewer line to a 20-inch diameter gravity sewer line on a positive grade. And then item F is the annual audit contract with S. Eric Bowman. For the approval of this contract, the agreed upon cost for the audit is $98 per hour with a 75% cap for interim invoice approval of $35,268, which is 75% of the prior year's audit fee. So those are items A through F for the consent agenda item. Anyone wish to discuss any or
I don't want to pull it off, but item F is still very unclear to me. I'm trying to follow the math there. 75% cap for interim invoice approval of $35,268, which is 75% of the prior year's audit fee. So what exactly?
If you took the prior year's audit fee and during the interim work, before this year's audit is completed, they can bill up to 75% of the prior year's audit,
Okay,
Store them.
makes sense then. Thank you.
which they need to do that to be able to pay their staff.
I understand that. That's fine.
I have a question regarding
Go ahead,
item E. Radford, you may be able to help me with this item E. It's talking about the Crossroads Sewer Project. Yeah. Does that abut with the project we had in Lower Creek that we replaced several years ago?
It will be real close.
Okay.
We'll basically start somewhere behind the old Kimbrels, now
Yes.
Yokefellow, and the service station back there. We'll start there and work our way towards the golf course.
Okay. Just want to make sure that I was realizing where the project was.
Okay.
I'm fine with that, Mr. Mayor.
Okay.
I'd like to make a motion that we accept the consent agenda as presented.
We have a motion from Councilmember Stevens to accept the consent agenda items A through F as presented. There's no other discussion. I will call for the question. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Thank you. Carries unanimously. Appreciate that. Next on our agenda is we have time for requests and petitions of any citizens. If there's anyone that would like to address the council, this is the time to do so. I think most everyone here are our staff. We have our new, well, he's not new, he's been around. Our new topic reporter is with us. Welcome. Thank you, sir. And we're going to hear from Deborah here in a little bit, so thank you for being here. So if nothing else, we'll move on. We do not have reports from our boards and commissions this evening, so we move on to the report and recommendations of the city manager, Mr. Hildebrand.
Mayor, Council, a couple items tonight for your information. The ABC Board will meet on Thursday, January 9th at 2 o'clock. That'll be held at ABC Store Number 1. The Lenore Business Advisory Board will meet on Thursday, January 9th at 6 p.m., City Hall, 3rd floor. The curbside Christmas tree pickup will continue to the end, I guess, Friday, the January 10th. It's the last day for that. The City County Service Committee will meet on Monday, January 13th at 11:45 a.m. at the Community College. The Caldwell County Economic Development Commission will host their annual celebration luncheon on Thursday, January 14th, and that begins at noon at the Broyles Hill Civic Center.
It's Tuesday.
Tuesday.
Yeah, Tuesday.
I can't see and I can't hardly speak, so just forgive me for that.
It actually is Thursday.
January 14th, is it? Right?
It's Tuesday, January 14th.
Tuesday.
Yes, it is.
Thank you. Make me look good.
Back to sleep.
That's why he gets ahead.
The Lenore Tourism Development Authority will meet on Thursday, January 16th at 4 o'clock, third floor City Hall. And city offices will be closed on Monday, January 20th in observance of Martin Luther King holiday. 2 MLK events. The first is a breakfast to be held on Saturday, January 18th at 9 o'clock at the MLK Center.
I have tickets.
And I know Reverend Perkins is selling tickets. If you need those, I think they're $10 a piece. And if he doesn't like you, they may be $11 a piece.
He sold me mine for 20.
He really does.
The second event will be on the actual MLK Day on Monday, January 20th. They'll have a memory march. Starts at 1:30 at J.H. Broyhill Park, and they'll go back and proceed to the MLK Center and have an event there starting at 2 o'clock. And I know some folks don't walk. They'll get in the car and ride. I won't name who they will, because it would take more than 30 minutes.
Look that way.
It would take more than 30 minutes for them to get there. They're walking. But that will start
I'm riding with the police chief.
at 2 o'clock
Me too.
on January 20th. And that's all I have for information. Tonight, you have one item on the agenda for a decision. You have an authorizing resolution for the North Carolina Department of Commerce for a North Carolina Fund grant, and also a building reuse grant for Project Buckeye. This proposed project would assist in the recruitment and expansion of an existing company in Lenore, entails approximately $20 million in new investment in the community with machinery and equipment, and also up to 126 new jobs. I think last evening, the Caldwell County Commission approved incentives for this project, and that will help provide the 5% match we have to go back and provide Commerce. So if you wish to proceed, you need to adopt the resolution, but I know Deborah Murray's here with the EDC if she wants to add any comments or anything. And I think she'll take the resolution if you adopt it. But with that, that's all I have, unless you have questions.
So you heard the proposal for the authorizing resolution for the North Carolina Department of Commerce concerning Project Buckeye. So I ask for consideration on that.
Motion to approve item as presented.
Have a motion from Mayor Pro Tem Thomas to approve the resolution as presented for Project Buckeye. Any other discussion? If not, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Thank you. We appreciate that. Thank you. And we appreciate it. And I know it's a good company, and we're excited about that and hope that this will be a good fit for them as it works out. So thank you. Thank you for your hard work. And I would encourage everyone, please attend the Economic Development Commission luncheon on Tuesday, January 14th. We present the Herman Anderson Award at that, and the Industry of the Year, and several other things there. Okay, those 2 awards. And unfortunately, we just lost Mr. Herman Anderson within the last 2 weeks, week and a half ago. Mr. Anderson was the pioneer of economic development in our community, worked for Blue Ridge Electric for so many years. He could tell you some great stories of the how we developed in this community and grew, and the battles that he had to go through to do that. But he was 98 years old, 98 and a half years old, and he was quite a gentleman and did a great job of keeping us moving in the right direction so that we are there to now. So fitting year for someone who will be receiving that award in a week or so here. So thank you for that. Look forward to that luncheon, as always, on that. Anything else to come?
That's all I have.
Okay. Any report or recommendation from our city attorney?
No, sir.
All right. I would just mention a couple things from the mayor's office that we do have several reappointments coming up, one of which is on our planning board and 2 on our Lenore Tourism Development Authority, which I'll be contacting those members to talk with them about considering being reappointed or what their concerns there. And I understand we may have another one coming up on our planning board that I just found out about tonight that I'm not sure about, but we'll be discussing that, and we'll look into that. So we'll have some recommendations for those seats. As you know, our Tourism Development Authority, people who serve on that, it's set up by legislation of how you serve on that. So we'll have to be look into the ways that those people can serve on that. Hopefully, the ones that are there will continue to serve because they're doing a great job, and we're making some great progress with our Tourism Development Authority here in the city of Lenore and across Caldwell County. So we want to keep that moving in the right direction. So anyway, great things happening there. I will ask the council members, anything to report coming up? Or I know it's been the end of the year and we're all turning into the new year, so all things are just beginning to get started for 2020. A lot of good things will be moving forward in this year, so we look forward to the city of Lenore having another great year. So we're excited about that. So anything else to come before us that I need to mention? If not, we stand adjourned.
Did Jamie go to the game?